Before we dive into the breakdown of the Day 1 Twist mode, I want to talk about one key component about the format. The devs can make this whatever they want. If quest lines become too broken, then we can just go ahead and get rid of them. Now, I'll go ahead and say that quest lines maybe need to be toned down a little bit because, well, unfortunately, a lot of these decks that are doing really well right now are explosive, bombastic OTKs, and if you take a look at these decks that I'm going to be recommending, almost every single one of them is an OTK style of deck. Now, control players are obviously going to be very upset about this, but one thing that I also want to point out is that Standard doesn't really have a lot of OTKs right now. So, if you've been, kind of feeling left out because you haven't been able to do that style of gameplay in Standard, then this is a really good format for you, but if you're someone that hates Stormwind, then you're automatically going to think that Twist is, from what my chat actually called, unsalvageable, and I just absolutely do not agree with that take. The thing about Twist that I absolutely love and that I really want to, hammer into everybody that's watching this video is that it could be whatever the designers want it to be, and if there's an insane power outlier, then we can go ahead and just get rid of it from the format, so there's always a way in order to freshen up the meta and make it even more fun. However, with questline Demon Hunter being extremely popular and Haijo hitting rank 1 legend with this particular deck, there's a lot to talk about because, obviously Druid and Demon Hunter are the two best decks on the format, so I'm not going to spend lots of time talking about this because if you're someone who's playing Twist, then you've probably already seen these decks, but if you want the best deck, this one's right here pretty good. Haijo himself said that he probably would take out Kurtrus in order to fit in a Sigil of Silence, which I can kind of understand if you're just trying to, end the game and you don't want taunts to destroy you. Because sometimes taunts can get in the way and you sometimes need to find, a consume magic in the right situation. But regardless, this is probably going to be the best deck for you to play, and I played almost exclusively questline Demon Hunter because I'm actually a big fan of the deck. I like the Final Showdown questline, I like Brutes, and adding Vengeful Walloper just adds insane burst-like boards that you can just generate that sometimes, a normal player in a normal deck is just not going to be able to deal with. And we'll talk about, high power levels later on in the video. But the other really broken deck to be playing is, of course, questline Druid. As we can see, Martian Boo hit rank 1 legend, and you're going to see a common theme here with, all the wild players getting, rank 1 legend in Twist, because for some reason, I don't even know if this was disclosed, and I literally didn't even know this until 8 hours of playing the actual format, but your MMR was tied to your wild rank, and I literally haven't touched wild in so long, so I've played about as many games as these guys, but the reason why they're all the way up at rank 1 and I'm still sitting at platinum 10 is because my star bonus is just simply not there. So I'm going to have to play a lot of games in order to actually hit legend, and I'm not going to lie, it's kind of dissuading me from wanting to really play the format, but I'm going to get that legend one way or another, and we only got so many days before, the season resets. But regardless, questline Druid absolutely broken, another power outlier that probably needs to be dealt with. Mark of the Spike Shell is one of the only interesting techs that I've seen in recent iterations of the deck, so that way you can get multiple guffs. But regardless, this deck is just giga broken. Another deck that performs really well, another questline deck, but I would argue that this one is a lot more fun, mostly due to the interaction of Charge Call. Since there are no neutral cards that you can generate, if you play this card at 7 mana, then you get to guarantee yourself a Glug, a Baron, or a Wrathspine, and let's just be honest, you're just going to go for Glug every single time, and if you go for 8 drops, then you can find Alakir, Blightblood Berserker, and well, this card's not even worth it, so you're just going to choose, this for burst or this for defense purposes. But I actually really like what questline Shaman in particular is doing, because this is more of it does have an OTK, but there are a lot of situations to where you don't even really care about getting the Brakan most of the time. You just want to get your overload cards and summon one of these guys. If you happen to play a Glug and your opponent cannot deal with the Glug, then it's just absolutely a game winner. So if you're someone that's liking these kind of colossal cards, then you're thinking this is a really fun deck right now. And the person that actually came up with this deck was Fino, and I think that this deck has a lot of potential, and again, it's a really fun archetype. And there might even be a possibility of putting an Inza in the deck, just to make your overload cards cost a little bit cheaper. However, I don't really know if you want to fit a 5-mana card in there, it just may not be worth it in the end. But overall, I still think that this deck is a ton of fun. A deck that I don't think is that much fun, but players are having success with is, Toxic Rogue. And, this is one of my most unfun decks of all time. Not my #1 least favorite time in Hearthstone. And I'll go ahead and tell you what that is later on in the video, because I don't think Stormwind was the worst expansion to ever hit Hearthstone, at least in terms of, gameplay and, game variety. But if you're somebody that likes to play Cloak of Shadows and likes to play Scabs in order to remove a board and hit someone with a gigantic weapon, then this deck is extremely good. And if you're wondering like, wait, neutral cards, we don't have weapon removal. That's not true. We have MC Blingtron, but no one's going to be playing MC Blingtron in a rogue deck because there's just absolutely no reason to run this unless you really, really just despise everything about weapon decks. But one deck that I don't believe anybody really saw coming, or more so people didn't expect this deck to perform well, is actually OTK Drakefire Amulet Mage. And this deck is actually extremely spicy and is probably going to be the deck that I am playing the most on my stream today. So make sure you check out twitch.tv/HELLSCREAM, because if you're watching this video right now, I am most likely live. But yeah, the whole point of this deck is to play Drakefire Amulet as quickly as possible, so that way you are guaranteed to pull out 2 Hell Matron, I don't know how to, Protectorate, whatever it is. I can't read. I'm a Hearthstone player. I play with the pictures, not with the words. And if you checked out my recent tweet, you already know that I can't read. But regardless, you get only 1 dragon out of this, so you are guaranteed to pull 2 of these. So 1 0-mana spell is going to equal 8 damage split. One thing I'm not too sure about in this deck is because I was kind of messing around with this archetype last night, is that I was really trying to make the 7-drop work, Clumsy Courier, so that way all you have to do is just draw the cards, and then you can play this for 7 mana, hit Drakefire Amulets, and then you can easily play it. Because you can always use, you know, like Hot Streak or something in order to make this 8 mana. You can also discount it with Incanter's Flow, but if you end up drawing them for 10 mana, then it feels kind of bad if you've already, you know, if you don't get the value out of your Incanter's Flow. They do have tradable, so that is a good part of the deck, so it is focusing more on being able to draw cards quickly and then discount stuff in hand. Again, someone else hit rank 1 legend with this, so this is just pure conjecture on my point, but I really tried to make Clumsy Courier work with this, but this might just be the better way of going about it, because look at the curve, look at how many cards you can draw, and Solid Alibi really does do a lot for this deck in order to maintain. You've also got Conjure Mana Biscuit, so, you know, even if you use your Hot Streaks a little bit early in order to play the Drakefire Amulet, maybe not the worst thing in the world. But there's a lot of potential for this deck, and this is one thing that I want to, like, really highlight when it comes to the Twist format. Questlines are broken, we know this, but what else is going to be broken? That's the thing that I really like about this, is because we are so unsure about all the other archetypes that are going to emerge, and case in point, I ended up losing a decent amount of decks with Questline Demon Hunter the other day by simply just getting outvalued by, like, you know, a mage gaining enough armor, being able to remove my board. I played a really impressive board, and then suddenly a spell damage into star power just absolutely wiped out everything, and then, you know, jam on top Solid Alibis, and there's just a lot going for this potential format. But the one thing that I just really want to hammer in is that there are a lot of possibilities in this format, to the point where I even lost a game as Questline Demon Hunter to Questline Paladin. Who expected Questline Paladin to see any play whatsoever? I also saw Secret Mage. I also saw I saw Aggro Druid. There are people that are trying to break the format, and for day 1 formats, they are going to play the Giga Busted stuff. And this is like kind of a design philosophy that I absolutely believe in Hearthstone. But I believe that we actually want to start with the Omega Giga Busted stuff, so that way we can tone things down instead of trying to buff things up, because it is so much easier in order to tone down the format after we know what the power outliers are. In case in point, there's a tweet from Donkey, from people that were playing Twist yesterday, to where he was able to track, you know, the win rates of some of the people that were playing, and, you know, obviously this is a small sample size, this is not reflective of the format, but it is nice to kind of see that, guess what? Druid wasn't the most popular, Demon Hunter wasn't the most popular, it was Mage. Mage was the most popular. So, like, it's, I can understand the hate towards Questlines. I really can. They are very frustrating, but you want to know what is more frustrating in the history of Hearthstone? Doom in the Tomb, Desert Hare Evolve, as well as High Priestess Amet Combo Priest. I believe that was the worst time to ever play Hearthstone, because you pretty much knew what you were queuing into immediately as soon as you saw, you know, certain classes, and you were literally dead by turn 3, turn 4 a lot of the times. Questlines, you at least need to make it to turn 6 and all of that, yada, yada, yada. It may not be that much better. But, dude, I think that we've had worse experiences in Hearthstone, so I feel like people that are, you know, overhyping, like, how powerful the questlines are they're not wrong, but I believe that there's a lot of sentiment around these cards where it's like, Stormwind equal bad. I hate questlines because Stormwind equal bad. I don't believe that is really reflective of what we're really going to be seeing in Twist. However, if it does get to that point, we can just straight up nuke the quest lines out of the format, and I'm almost on the fence of just going ahead and recommending to Blizzard to get rid of the quest lines, but after seeing this tweet and seeing how many people are having success with Mage, there's a lot of people playing Rogue, a lot of people playing Paladin as well, and Death Knight is actually kind of hilarious because it's seeing more play than Warrior, for example. I really don't know what people are playing in Death Knight, and I kind of want to try and figure out because I want to be the Death Knight guy. But there's a lot of potential for this format, and I don't really believe that we really understand the full complexity of this kind of format yet. So hopefully this video was helpful in order to show you guys that it's not exactly all about the quest lines, because people are going to play the stuff that is really good on day one, and then other stuff will emerge, like the Mage deck that I just showed you. Maybe there's a Pure Paladin deck that's really good, because the only reason I'm not recommending Pure Paladin is because, well, every Paladin deck is a Pure Paladin deck, so it's just a matter of whether or not we want to go in on all of the Pure Paladin cards, like the Countess, like the 2/3 that makes the people into a 1/1, the Curator. There's a lot of cards that maybe don't really belong in the Paladin deck right now because there's a lot of things that you could be doing with it, but I don't want to say that we've only scratched the surface because we've done a really good job at figuring out the really good decks so far, but there's a lot of other things that could pop up, and I just really wanted to hammer in this point because I believe in Twist. I think this is a really fun idea, and I don't want people to soil the idea of it's just wild light. That is absolutely not the truth, and I believe that I've presented enough information in order to kind of show my point and hopefully convince you guys of similar things. But this is where I'm going to ask you guys, what do you think of the Twist format? I want to be able to curate my content as well as best as I can, and there are some people that are saying that Twist is just not interesting to them, but I don't know if they're saying this just because Stormwind is available in the format, or if they don't have the cards, or if they just straight up don't like the format. I feel like there's a lot of conversation about a lot of the negativity that comes around it, but there's so much positivity that's available in this format, and I don't want this to be overshadowed just because Stormwind equal bad. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I really want to get, a good community feel about this, and if I'm wrong, then I'm fine with being wrong, and I have the perfect tweet in order to prove that I absolutely do not mind being wrong, because I have literally tweeted out that I am a goddamn idiot. If you guys haven't seen the new expansion release cards, I would highly recommend it. Titans are a thing, and I was like, oh my god, I can already see the highlights of someone pulling Dirty Rat off of this and insta-losing because Hunter replaced 3 1-drops as 8/8s. I thought the battle cry was the Titan effect, because Titan is an ability to where it's on the field, it has like, 3 different abilities that it can hit, and I thought you could just do this 3 separate times, but as I've said, I'm a fucking idiot. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below, and let me know if you want more Twist format, because I've got a lot of ideas that I want to bring into the Twist format, but maybe it's worth it, maybe it's not. But thank you so much for making it to the end of this video, and we'll see you for the next one.